You've all heard the phrase, it's not the gift, but the thought that counts. Saying that, okay, I got a gift from you and it doesn't fit, or it's nothing I really like or use, but at least you're thinking of me. But on the other hand, really, is that really true? Because I think the gift reflects the thoughts. Sometimes somebody gives me something and I thought, why? Why did you give me that gift? Well, what was going through your mind? And so as I'm looking at the gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh, I want to know what is behind all that. Why? Why did they give that? We all know the gifts, and we've heard them 1,000 times before. The frankincense was used as incense at the temple, so that's signifying priesthood. We know that myrrh was used to embalm people, so that signifies Jesus' suffering and death. And gold is given to kings, so indeed he is a kingship. But I always thought of this as tied to the virtues of faith, hope, and love. Because where is faith except in that temple? Where is hope? In the hope that Jesus Christ would rise from the dead. Where is that love? In that it is that gold for the newborn King of the Jews. And so really that was the thought behind the wise men. That in the giving of frankincense, they are aware of who Jesus Christ was. They recognized the star at its rising and were willing to travel from a far-off distance to go and worship the King. They recognized that in the myrrh that they gave the hope that was given to the entire world, but also their own personal hope that they would go see the newborn King. That hope was there even in the midst of trials and tribulations. It's not easy to travel hundreds of miles from the east. It's not easy to then go get it wrong and go to Jerusalem instead of Bethlehem to see the newborn King. It's not easy to then have that trust to go and find the newborn King in Bethlehem. And finally, it's not easy to not trust, or to trust to go home by a different route than you came. And so finally, that gold. The gold is that love that they had for the newborn King. That gold is the reason why they put in the effort they did. That's the reason why they engaged on this in the first place. And so then I contrasted that with the losers of this story. The ones who didn't do anything, who didn't see Jesus Christ, whose lack of faith, hope, and love played out in their inaction. And we see the first losers of the priests and the temple and the scholars of the law, where they knew everything, but they didn't do anything about it. They had no faith. We see the second losers in all Jerusalem, who are there who hears about this newborn King of Jews and are frightened. Instead of rejoicing, instead of saying, maybe, just maybe this is true, we have hope. Instead, they don't go anywhere. They have lost hope. And finally, we see the King Herod, the biggest loser of them all, who has no love in his heart, because he's frightened of giving up his position of power. So much so that in the annals of history, they show where he murdered his wife and son in order to protect his kingship. So these are the losers and the winners of this story. And so as we move from stable to table, what gifts we bring? Because the gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh are not about something that happened 2,000 years ago. It's what happens to us today on this altar, where we bring our own gifts of frankincense in our faith in Jesus Christ being the Son of God. We bring our own myrrh in our belief and our hope that Jesus Christ is risen from the dead. And not only that, he will return again one day. We bring the gold in our action of loving God and loving our neighbor. Loving him in all ways that we can. And it's an action not like the priests and scribes who knew everything and did nothing, or the people in Jerusalem who had no hope, or the King Herod who wanted to just hang on to everything. Instead, these gifts are what we can bring today. The gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh are not something that a remembrance of Christmas past, but a reality for today. What gifts will we bring to this altar?